to catch the gentleman's eye. Oh, Minnie, we'll get an adventure out of this yet.
We'll get an adventure out of this yet, Barnaby. All day long we wandered around New York, and nothing happens. Then we come to the quietest street in the city, and suddenly...
Vandergelder.
Is he still out there? Go look.
He's sitting there on that bench. Cornelius, are you sure this is an adventure?
You don't have to ask, Barnaby. When you're in one, you'll know it all right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, how much money have we got left?
Not much, Cornelius. Let's see. 40 cents for the train back, 30 cents for dinner, and 20 cents to see the whale. 90 cents. Why?
Well, when those two women come back, we'll have to pretend to be customers. Customers, that's it. Maybe the best thing to do is make them think we're rich. Then we won't have to spend anything. We're two men about town looking for hats. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Malloy.
Oh, here, Corneilius Hackyl.
Here, Barnaby Tucker.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Now, what can I do for you?
We want a hat. For a lady, of course. And everyone said, go to Mrs. Malloy's because she's so pretty. I mean, her hats are so pretty.
And so reasonable, Cornelius. As reasonable as under $1 would still leave us enough to see the whale.
You have to pay him no mind, man. You see, he's come all the way from Yonkers to see the stuffed whale, and he's all excited. Just keep an eye on the street, Barnaby, and maybe you'll see it pass by.
Is it big and black with mean little red eyes?
Yes.
It's sitting right there on that bench.
Excuse me, but did you say Yonkers, Mr. Hackyl?
Oh, yes, ma'am, Yonkers. And forgive me for saying this, but you should see Yonkers. By that, I mean perhaps Mr. Malloy would like to see Yonkers, too.
Oh, I'm a widow, Mr. Hackyl.
You are? Barnaby, she's a widow. Oh, that's too bad. I'm sure Mr. Malloy would have enjoyed Yonkers, especially in that hat. I mean on you, of course, not Mr. Malloy. May he rest in peace. You're Catholic, aren't you? Well, don't let that worry you. I'd be more than willing to change, and Mrs. Malloy, if you should ever happen to have a Sunday free in the near future, I'd be more than pleased to show you Yonkers from top to bottom.
Well, I might be there sooner than you think, Mr. Hackyl.
Oh, really?
Well, you see, I have a friend who lives in Yonkers.
You do?
Perhaps you know him.
Well, perhaps we do.
Oh, it's always so silly to ask in cases like that, isn't it? It's a Mr. Vandergelder.
Oh, Mr. Vandergelder?
Vandergelder's hay and feed?
Oh, do you know him?
Oh, no! No!
Mr. Vandergelder, substantial man, and well-liked, they tell me.
A lovely man, just lovely. Has only one fault as far as I know. He's hard as nails.
Cornelius, I think.
Now, I wonder if your friend might like this.
Look out! Begging your pardon, Mrs. Malloy.
Gentlemen, what are you doing?
Help us, Mrs. Malloy. We'll explain later.
Come out of there, Mrs.
Malloy.
No, really, Mr. Hackyl. I insist that you both come out of there together.
Mrs. Malloy, I don't suppose Mrs. Levi is here. Supposed to meet me on that bench 10 minutes ago. Well, if she comes, she can just go looking for me. When I make appointments, I expect people to be on time. Oh, here's a present for you. Chocolate-covered peanuts, unshelled. Those are the expensive kind. Did I just see you speaking to two men?
Men? Men, Mr. Vandergelder? What would men be doing in a lady's hat? Let's go back into my workroom. I'm so anxious for you to see it.
Saw it last week.
So you did. Tell me, Mr. Vandergelder, what's new in the hay and feed business? I hear you have 3 friends, all hard as nails.
What on earth are you talking about?
Yonkers. I hear it's a beautiful city.
Who's been telling you about Yonkers?
Oh, nobody. A friend.
What friend?
Well, you see, he. A customer, Mr. Van der Gelder. Someone quite well-to-do, as a matter of fact. He was in here buying hats for ladies. You might even know him, although it's so foolish to ask in cases like that, isn't it? It's a Mr. Corneilius Hackyl.
Did you say Hackyl?
Yes, I did.
He happens to be my chief clerk. Mrs. Malloy, I demand an explanation.
And I'm going to give it to you. Why shouldn't she know Cornelius Hackyl? Everyone in New York knows Cornelius Hackyl. He's at the opera, in all the fashionable homes. Why, he's even at the Harmonia Gardens restaurant 3 times a week.
Impossible. He's only got $145.36, and I keep that in my own safe.
Oh, Mr. Van der Gelder, you're killing me. He's one of the Hackyls. They built the canal.
What canal?
The Panama. Both.
Ain't the same man.
Who took the horses out of Jenny Lind's carriage and pulled her through the streets of New York? Why, Cornelius Hackyl. And who dressed up as a waitress at Fifth Avenue Hotel and dropped an oyster down Mrs. Astor's? It's too wicked to say, but it was Cornelius Hackyl. Why, he's the playboy of New York. Now, come along, Irene. Don't deny it. I know you were taken with him just like everyone else was the moment that you saw him.
Really, Dolly? What are you saying? I've only seen him once in my life. Dolly, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Minnie, hold your tongue! There's a man in here!
There's a man in that closet!
No, Mr. Van der Gelder, you can't. It's too dangerous.
Any man that hides in ladies' closets doesn't frighten me. Mrs. Levi, stand aside.
No man, indeed, Mr. Van der Gelder. Why, I'm sure you'd make short work of any man. I can see those muscles rippling back and forth underneath your coat. Ripple, ripple, ripple. Back and forth. Ripple, ripple, ripple.
For the last time, Mrs. Levi, will you stand aside?
Stand indeed, Mr. Van der Gelder. And that's exactly what the courts will want to know when they found that you've entered this closet without a search warrant. I mean, what do you stand for if you don't stand for the law of this great land? I know what I stand for.